There is a moment in prayer where the impossible begins to melt, not because of long hours of pleading, but because of one focused minute where your heart aligns perfectly with divine supply. The secret of 60-second prayer is not its length, but its spiritual intensity. When you pray with complete focus for even 1 minute, distractions fall away. Doubt becomes silent, and faith rises with the strength that heaven cannot ignore. In that short window of time, your spirit steps into a higher atmosphere, an atmosphere where God's abundance is more real than your present struggle. This is a place where resources begin to move, opportunities begin to shift, and income starts its journey toward you. Many people think breakthroughs require exhausting spiritual effort, but heaven often responds quickest to pure, concentrated faith. When you pray in that 60-second zone, your heart speaks with a clarity that cuts through fear and reaches straight into the supernatural. Look, your words become keys, unlocking doors that were closed for months or even years. You speak boldly because in that moment you recognize that God is your source, your provider, and your unfailing supply line. That awareness alone creates spiritual movement. In those 60 seconds, you push aside every limiting belief that told you lack was your destiny. You refuse to accept shortage as your identity. You stand firm and declare that divine provision belongs to you. And as you speak, something begins to shift in the unseen realm. Ideas begin forming, favor starts aligning, and people who hold the next piece of your financial breakthrough begin to feel a stirring in their hearts. This short prayer becomes a spiritual ignition that multiplies your capacity to receive. It clears the path for income to arrive unexpectedly, quickly, even within 24 hours, because faith has gone ahead to prepare the way. 1 minute of real prayer is enough to undo years of frustration, because in that minute, you're fully connected to the limitless power of God. When you pray like this, heaven rushes to respond, not slowly, not reluctantly, but with the speed of divine intention. That's why a single minute can open what felt permanently closed. You step into that moment and something supernatural begins. The true power of the 60-second prayer is found in the invisible world of your imagination. Because what you see within while you pray becomes the blueprint for what God releases into your life. When you enter that focused minute of prayer, you are not simply speaking words. You are shaping spiritual realities. Your inner picture becomes a magnet that draws the corresponding blessing from heaven. Many people pray with their mouths, while their minds remain filled with fear. But the secret is to pray with vision, seeing the answer before it arrives, feeling the breakthrough before it manifests, and imagining the income already in your hands. In that short moment, you must allow your inner world to shift completely. See doors opening, see resources coming towards you, see debts dissolving, see unexpected finance being released. This kind of visualization is not fantasy. It is spiritual cooperation with the promises of God. It is giving heaven a clear design to build from. When your imagination aligns with your prayer, a surge of divine energy begins to move. Your thoughts become a channel, your faith becomes a command, and your expectation becomes a signal that you are ready to receive. During those 60 seconds, every image of lack must be replaced with an image of abundance. If you see shortage, you attract delay. But if you see supply, you activate supernatural flow. This focused visualization creates an atmosphere where miracles manifest quickly because your internal environment is no longer fighting against your own prayer. Your Oh, as your inner picture changes, your emotional tone changes as well. Faith rises without resistance. Fear dissolves, and your spirit begins to expect increase. Heaven responds immediately to expectation, because expectation is the highest form of faith. When you hold a picture of abundance while you pray, you step into a realm where opportunities start forming, ideas awaken, and people feel led to bless you or connect you to provision. Everything begins to reorganize itself to match the image you carried in your spirit. That is why income can arrive within 24 hours. Because the moment your vision aligns with your prayer, God breathes life into your imagination and turns into manifestation. 1 minute of clear spiritual vision can accomplish what years of unfocused desire never could. The 60-second prayer carries unusual power when it is built on gratitude, because gratitude activates spiritual laws that transform your entire financial atmosphere. In one focused minute, the heart that chooses to thank God instead of worrying steps into a realm where miracles become natural. Gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a force that pulls divine provision towards you. When you enter that 60-second window and begin to thank God for income you have not yet seen, you are demonstrating faith at its highest level. You are telling heaven that you trust God's supply more than your current situation. This type of gratitude breaks the tension of fear, dismantles doubt, and opens your spirit to receive quickly. In those few seconds, you begin shifting from frustration to expectation, from lack to abundance, from pressure to peace. And as your inner posture changes, the spiritual environment around you changes as well. Gratitude clears the clouds that block your blessings. It opens the gates for supernatural flow. It signals to heaven that you are ready for increase. When you thank God in advance, you are not ignoring your reality. You are announcing that your reality is about to change. Through gratitude, your heart becomes fertile soil where financial miracles can take root swiftly. You begin to draw resources, opportunities, and unexpected income simply because your spirit is aligned with divine generosity. Gratitude makes you magnetic to blessing. It sharpens your faith, softens your heart, and stabilizes your emotions so that fear loses its grip. In that 60-second prayer, every word of thanksgiving becomes a seed planted into the supernatural. And God responds by sending rain, rain of ideas, rain of favor, rain of open doors. What you thank Him for begins to manifest because expectation is now alive within you. People begin to think of you. Opportunities begin to move toward you, and unexpected financial pathways begin to open. Gratitude accelerates the process because it tells heaven, you believe the answer has already been released. That is why income can arrive in 24 hours. It is not the length of the prayer, but the purity of gratitude within it that triggers fast provision. 1 minute of sincere thanksgiving can bring what years of complaining and worrying never could. The 60-second prayer carries extraordinary power because it activates faith in its purest form. Faith that does not sit still but moves with authority. When you enter that focused minute of prayer, you are not simply asking. You are declaring, commanding, and aligning your life with divine provision. In that short moment, your spirit steps out of passivity and into spiritual authority. And this shift ignites a chain reaction in the unseen realm. Faith is not quiet. It speaks, it decrees, it creates, and in those 60 seconds, your faith becomes a force that begins rearranging the circumstances around your finances. When you pray with such conviction, your words carry weight. They are not empty expressions of hope. They are spiritual commands backed by heaven itself. You declare abundance where there was lack. You speak increase where there was delay. And you call forth income that has been held back. In that moment, your prayer becomes a decree that heaven must honor. Your words go ahead of you, preparing pathways that were once blocked. In this 60-second prayer, doubt has no time to interfere. Fear has no room to whisper. And negativity has no opportunity to weaken your expectation. The shortness of the moment actually strengthens your focus. Your heart becomes tuned to one frequency, the frequency of divine supply. As you speak, spiritual forces begin to move. Opportunities start shifting in your direction. People who carry your blessing begin to feel compelled to connect with you. Ideas that were hidden suddenly arise in your mind. Delays begin to break, and divine timing accelerates. This 1 minute pushes your request out of the natural and into the supernatural, where speed is the normal language of God. Income can reach you within 24 hours because your faith, spoken clearly and confidently, seals the miracle. This type of prayer releases a wave of spiritual power that goes into your future and pulls your provision back into your present moment. When you pray like this, you are not waiting for things to happen. You are commanding them to manifest. And 1 minute of authoritative prayer can overturn the limitations of an entire season, because God's hope responds to bold faith, not hesitant fear. In 60 seconds, you set miracles in motion that were waiting for your voice to release them. The miracle behind the 60-second prayer becomes even more powerful when you understand the role of consistency. 1 moment of focused prayer can ignite a breakthrough, but repeated moments create a spiritual rhythm that keeps miracles flowing into your life. When you dedicate just 1 minute each day to pray with clarity, gratitude, and faith, you build a pattern that aligns your spirit with continuous provision. Consistency trains your inner world to expect increase rather than fear lack. It develops a steady spiritual momentum that begins to attract opportunities, open doors, and release financial blessings in ways you could not predict. Each daily 60-second prayer becomes a seed planted into your future. And over time, these seeds create a field of abundance. In those repeated moments, your faith sharpens, your doubt weakens, and your sensitivity to divine direction increases. You begin to notice ideas you once ignored, connections you once overlooked, and opportunities you once doubted. The discipline of returning to that minute of prayer every day establishes a habit of spiritual awareness. You become more tuned into the ways God sends provision. Sometimes through people, sometimes through wisdom, sometimes through unexpected financial channels. This daily practice expands your capacity to receive. As your spirit grows stronger, your expectation grows bolder. And expectation is the magnet that pulls the 24-hour miracles into your life. Each consistent prayer reinforces in your heart that increase is already on its way. You begin to live with anticipation instead of anxiety. And heaven responds to anticipation like lightning. When you pray daily, you create a cycle of spiritual acceleration. What once took months now happens in days. What once felt delayed now moves swiftly. Consistency multiplies the power of the short prayer, turning it from a moment of faith into a lifestyle of supernatural supply. You are no longer praying from crisis. You are praying from confidence. You begin to see financial breakthroughs not as rare events, but as normal expressions of God's favor. The 60-second prayer becomes your daily connection point to divine abundance, and each time you return to it, your spiritual momentum increases. Over time, income begins to flow more frequently. Solutions arrive faster, and blessings appear effortlessly because you have built an environment where miracles are welcome. One consistent minute each day can shape an entire season of financial favor. The 60-second prayer carries supernatural weight because it reconnects you instantly to the true source of wealth. In that one focused minute, you step out of your own limitations and into the limitless supply of God. It is a moment where you stop striving by your own strength and surrender fully to the one who holds every resource, every opportunity, every connection, and every financial door. This kind of prayer does not depend on human logic or natural ability. It is a spiritual reset, a divine alignment where you acknowledge that all provision flows from a higher realm. When you pray with this awareness, something powerful happens inside you. Anxiety loses its authority. Fear loosens its grip. Pressure lifts from your shoulders. Your spirit becomes calm, clear, and open. And in that clarity, the voice of God becomes easier to hear. Ideas begin to surface, solutions become visible, and pathways to income that were hidden suddenly appear. You begin to sense direction that you overlooked before, because now your heart is in sync with divine wisdom. The 60-second prayer positions you under the flow of supernatural insight. And wisdom is often the very thing that unlocks financial increase. God begins to highlight actions you should take, people you should contact, or opportunities you should pursue. He stirs the hearts of others to favor you, to recommend you, to support you, or to bless you. He orchestrates moments where provision finds its way to you without struggle. In this 1 minute, you shift your dependency from your bank account to God's abundance. And this shift opens the door for rapid manifestation. Income can reach you within 24 hours, not because the prayer is long or complicated, but because alignment with God accelerates everything. Everything. When you connect with the true source, resources begin to move with divine speed. This moment of prayer resets your identity as well. You stop seeing yourself as someone waiting for help and start seeing yourself as someone connected to limitless supply. This change in identity magnetizes blessing. Blessing? It changes your posture, your confidence, your decisions, and your expectation. An expectation draws increase. In that short minute, you create space for God to work, and when He works, nothing remains stagnant. Provision moves, favor moves, ideas move, opportunities move. The 60-second prayer opens the channel, and what was stuck begins to flow. 1 minute with God can produce what years of struggle never could.